what I would say is really making every recruiter more, let's say, we need to continue to be even more curious of what tools are out there and how to use them effectively. But I think it's a challenge to not become overwhelmed with literally the hundreds and hundreds of different automation tools that are out there. What I always tell other recruiters and my own recruiters is let's just focus on using one to its best ability and just go with that.
Welcome to the Growth Experts podcast. I'm your host, Derek Collin. Today, we have a very special episode featuring two guests, CEO and founder of Smart Talent AI and the co-founder of Smart Talent AI, Sunil and Ramesh. How you guys doing?
Hey, Derek.
Great.
Very, very good. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, gentlemen. Welcome to the Growth Experts podcast. So to kick things off, can you both share a bit about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture over at smarttalentai.com?
Sure, I can kick it off. So again, my name is Sunil Kasuba, and I started this organization about 8 or 9 months ago. It's hard to believe at this point. It started so I've been a recruiter for several years, and previous to that, I was a program manager, and previous to that, I was an analyst overlooking cybersecurity for U.S. government. So this all kind of became a conglomeration where I wanted to start my own recruitment firm, and based on my interest in both technology and social impact programs, I wanted to build something around that feature where I used my talent acquisition skill sets along with my former program management consulting type work to create this Smart Talent AI. So we are a niche organization that does talent acquisition and consulting for smart cities, and it's just a nice conglomeration of my former past few careers into one. And yeah, very excited to have co-founded this with my father, who I'll have him introduce himself.
Again, thank you, Sunil. I have a few more years on top of what Sunil has, mostly in IT management. Been doing this for over 4 decades, doing project management, project assessment, mitigation, and security. I've been in the business, like I said, 40 years. I retired from full-time work just about 2 years ago or plus. And when my son started this up, I thought maybe I can provide some help in this regard, and been excited about this because obviously I've been in IT for a long time. So wherever we can see IT helping business find good solutions, especially with the new technologies, specifically AI, both curious and eager to get into that. And hopefully I'll be able to add some value to this organization and going forward to the group that we lead. That's back to you, Dan.
Basically, I just didn't let him retire.
That's good. Always a wonderful thing to have, family, especially as a co-founder, to provide wise counsel when needed. Awesome. Well, thank you for that introduction, gentlemen. So I guess, what does a typical day look like for you, Sunil?
That's a good question. Every day is very different, and that's the fun in being a founder, I think. As Eric, I'm sure you yourself can to attest to. Every day is different, to be quite honest. I'm often responding to leads that I've formed either naturally on the road. I've been traveling a lot to conferences where, doing a lot of networking. That's where we're getting a lot of our clients. But also, since we wear two hats, one on the recruitment side and one more on the consulting side, it's managing both traditional recruitment, and I have a couple of recruiters now on my team, including my sister and Ramesh's daughter, Suma Kasuba. So she's also helping out. So it's a full family business at this point. And also on the couple projects that we have, helping coordinate and manage some of those projects along with my father. So it's a mixed bag, but it's definitely a grind. We're definitely doing quite a bit, especially when it comes to working with cities and some of these small to medium-sized businesses that are very eager to jump into the AI adoption world. Yeah, that's kind of every day is different. Some days I'm on the road all the time in Silicon Valley, or I've been to Europe a few times. I've been to Davos very recently as well, bumping into clients or prospective candidates where I like to meet them where they are, and that's kind of how we stand out. Yeah, those are my days, and I really enjoy it, even though it is a grind. Pass it over to my father.
Yeah, like I said, I come from IT development background. When I retired, I thought I'm retired for good, but something brought me back. I'm really interested in continuing the kind of work I did. My primary interest is development, right? I like to understand the business issues and find solutions for them and work with the development team, whether it's the developer, database guy, or quality assurance, whatnot. I'm able to manage all those areas, which is what I've been doing in my working career. And
Mhm.
I like what I'm doing now because it's definitely something new. At the same time, it's old, right? Meaning, if you understand what I mean, it's stuff I did for project development and product development, working with the business. That's old. That's not anything new. But the new area that I got into is the new technologies, specifically machine learning and AI, were not part of my, I guess, toolkit back when I was working full time. Now, as everybody else, we got into it, and I'm learning. That's a good part about this business is I learn each day. I learn something new, and try to apply that for day to day resolution of issues for a problem. Like that's what I enjoy most.
Nice, nice. So you make sure to assess certain situations throughout the organization from an IT perspective, and you resolve them. Can you elaborate on what exactly what you do in terms of resolving certain situations that may arise?
Well, clearly, the first thing is to try and understand business issues. We don't want to develop solutions and look for a problem to apply that, right? It should be the other way around, where we do see an issue and see if we can help them with a better technology based solution. And that's something that I've been doing for years. There's nothing new, like I said before, but now it's just different tools. And I guess industries that I worked with are financial industries during my working career. Now it's well beyond that. In particular, now I've got into government sector, which is a challenge in itself because it's not the same as working with in private sector where there's urgency. They want the answers yesterday. In the government sector, it's rush, and wait, rush, and wait, and that's something that I'm getting used to now. But I mean, there's a funding issue, obviously, and that's an issue everywhere. But particularly, I guess, in government work, funding is not easy to come by, especially if you're doing some work for nonprofit. It's a challenge, and I'm learning slowly the new norm, and it is challenge in itself. But at the same time, it's something that you enjoy. At the end of the day, the solution you develop or support to see that come to fruition.
Ah, okay. Awesome. Sunil, what are you currently seeing in the industry when it comes to major shifts? What major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think it's seeing a lot of different shifts. Starting with recruitment specifically, I've been a recruiter for several years now in different industries, and I think across all the industries, one common change we're seeing is the elephant in the room, which is AI, right? And how AI is really changing the way we all work. In I would say generally positive. It's a bit of net positive. Of course, there's a lot of caveats to that, as you can imagine. But what I would say is really making every recruiter more, let's say, we need to continue to be even more curious of what tools are out there and how to use them effectively. But I think it's a challenge to not become overwhelmed with literally the hundreds and hundreds of different automation tools that are out there. What I always tell other recruiters and my own recruiters is let's just focus on using one to its best ability and just go with that. Because if we just spend time spinning our wheels and trying to identify what tools are the best to automate emails or, LinkedIn messages, then we're going to fall victim to, paralysis by analysis, right? So I think that's a big trend that I'm seeing. And on the flip side, as a candidate, I'm seeing, and I've been a candidate myself in the last couple of years. We're seeing a huge volume of other candidates that we're competing against when we apply to a job. And we all know that most firms are now using some form of AI to go through those resumes, right? And to weed out resumes. We know a lot of these firms are using AI to catch keywords and then phase some applications totally out, which then is taking the human out of that process of initially shifting to the resumes. So I think as candidates, there's a huge change when it comes to how to really, first off, put together your resume, but also how you stand out, right? Because if we assume a lot of people are using ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or any of these other tools to draft their CVs, it's kind of even the playing field when it comes to drafting language, in a finesse way. The content is where it all counts, obviously. And then, this is what I keep emphasizing to my candidates. Show that what problems you have solved. Show how you have used life experiences in your resume or in your LinkedIn profiles. You have to stand out. Don't just put blanket bullet points that ChatGPT can just draft for you and just put it in there because everyone else is doing that. And I've encouraged all my candidates to put personalized videos along with their applications. Some things to just show that you're actually human, right? There's so many, as a recruiter now, often the challenge is identifying LinkedIn profiles or resumes that might be fake, right, or fraudulent.
Yeah.
That's become a huge trend now. So it's almost like the first barrier is whether this person is human or not. That's kind of where we are these days. So yeah, I'm seeing these major challenges from both a candidate and also as a recruiter, where we have all these tools and how to navigate this AI. So I would say I'll leave it at that. There's other ones too we can get into, but
Yeah.
also curious to hear my father's side of it because he's seen many changes over the last 4 decades. So I'm sure he can say a little bit to that too.
Yeah, yeah, Ramesh, curious to hear your insights. How has this trend impacted your business or your growth strategy?
Certainly, things have changed. There are a lot of things that we've seen before stay the same, meaning that you still had to find the right resource, right? Tools are good, but it's the human that makes the difference. And we had to get out of our interviews or searching through the resumes what you as a human contributed to this effort. Why are you any different than me using AI for all my solutions? Why do I need a human? That's a challenge because if you're not sure of yourself, you think just AI is going to take your job away, which it might if you're not careful about what you see, because that's something that everybody is concerned about now. After AI, what is my role? Where do I fit in? And that's something that we as recruiters should be able to articulate and encourage people to say, hey, look, it's not just the tool that they were looking for, it's the person behind the tool. And that's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're coming out of college, you probably learned a lot about AIs and machine language learning and all that. But you need to understand where you fit in, and you should be able to articulate that to your potential employer, right? If you're not able to do that, then you lose out because you're not able to take what value you're adding to the business. And that's something that comes with experience, of course, but also you have to have self-confidence in that you can do, or you can add value to the process with your knowledge and the approach.
Yeah.
And that's what I see is a change.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in this AI landscape that we find ourselves in, innovation within oneself is always a good thing to aspire to, especially when it comes to learning AI. Even if it's a simple process like going into ChatGPT and asking, "How can you help me understand you better?" Or maybe taking a side class or getting some specialized knowledge on a small course that's little to nothing or fraction of the cost of what you would make in your career. Learn a new skill or apply that, because most people forget that AI stands for artificial intelligence, which means not real intelligence. not to,
Good point.
shoot myself in the foot because, we're both in AI and stuff like that. But artificial intelligence, it's not real intelligence. It's just code. It's really, the man behind the machine, if you will. It's the person that's really taking that job. It's that person that's building that code that other companies are implementing to either enhance their employees' lives or to enhance their company. So it's not essential to replacing anybody when it comes to, AI conscious being saying, I'm going to take your job. That's not how it works. It's really the man behind the machine. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm curious to learn about this question for either one of you, but what types of companies or industries do you go after? What's your target ICP in terms of your initial client profile, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I could kick it off. So I think small to medium sized businesses is ideally what our clientele are, and public sector as well. So we're right now industry agnostic because we're starting out, right, and we want to have a few success stories under our belt, just like any new company. What we're proposing that we can provide as a service is applicable to really any small to medium sized business, whether it's healthcare, education, government, which is, to help support adoption of AI. And we provide both consultative services for small to medium sized businesses and in the city recently on where AI makes sense. What are your, like, we go in, ask, what are your pain points? How can AI, help you? And if companies already have an idea and are grappling with several different AI technologies, we bring in a team to sort through that and identify where to begin. Because as we've talked about, myself included, we're often overwhelmed with how much there is out there, right? And you need someone to kind of tell you, nah, this is not worth your time, or this is not worth your investment, but this might be. So because of that, we're industry agnostic at the moment. So yeah, I would say small to medium sized businesses for sure is our target audience. I know that's pretty wide,
Yeah.
obviously. Um, and given the nature of the work, and because tech companies tend to be obviously more forward leaning when it comes to this, we tend to talk to more tech oriented companies at the moment, at least. But interestingly, we've been able to get an education sector organization, a small business in the education sector, on board as well. And we're supporting them with not only developing a couple of different AI chatbots or AI agents for their platform to engage with their students, but
Mhm.
also we have a team has actually also helped devise a curriculum for some students on AI 101, if you will, and just how to use AI in a engaging and ethical way. So we're helping design curriculums, and we're also implementing AI where it makes sense to make the interface more engaging. And when it comes to the public sector, which is actually more interesting, and this is what my father's been working on, so I'll let him talk a little bit more to it. But obviously, given the sensitivity of the issue, we can't divulge too many details. But what I can say is, we have successfully finished a product where we went in with that consultative approach, identified some pain points with data that this particular city was having. And as you can imagine, most cities, if not every city on earth, operates in silos when it comes to data management, right? So we've successfully been able to put together a dashboard that has helped that team, that's a couple of different departments within the city, to synthesize this data to help its citizens with a specific problem that they were facing. But I'll let my father talk a little bit more to that, because I think he's been actually overseeing that as the project manager for that.
Yeah, and if you could, Ramesh, if you could elaborate on what smart cities are, so just in case our audience doesn't know what that is.
Well, as you pointed out very correctly, that it is the artificial intelligence, right? We use it as a tool. We had to look. All of us have to look at that as a tool and how to apply it. Like in our case, we went into a public sector company. I guess you can't call it a company, but it's a government agency that was doing a lot of work, and that entailed a lot of paperwork. As you can imagine, public sector, more so than the private sector, leans on a lot of paperwork and approvals and such. And we went in there not with the idea of providing them a solution, but with the idea of understanding the business and see where the pain points are, and they come up with a resolution. It happened to use AI to help, right? So we don't walk in in any organization thinking that we know all the answers. We don't, right? That's a fact.
Yeah.
So we have to learn the business to be able to come up with areas where we can help them. Technology does not solve all the problems, right? We got to put human in front of technology and let you decide where you can apply that. So that's an important takeaway, where technology is not the sole tool that you have. You have your brain, right? Of all, and that's something that you should use wisely. So tool may or may not solve the problem, but
Mhm.
humans can, right? That's the approach we're taking, right?
Yeah. But in the people
And
business.
no, I was just gonna add, Derek, to your question about what is a smart city. This is obviously a question that my dad and I and everyone on the team talk about a lot.
Yeah.
So I think there's varying definitions to what a smart city is.
I
In
know.
fact,
I know what a smart home is, like a smart house with all the
right,
connections
Yeah.
and like that.
right. I'll begin by saying I don't even like the term smart city. I think it can be perceived in many different ways and can be condescending in many ways. So
Yeah.
but I realize that is the terminology that everyone is talking about. I like to look at it as more like, I don't know, resilient communities, things like that. Because A, smart, what does that even mean? Does that mean other cities are not smart? And
Yeah.
B, I don't think it should be limited to urban areas. This is a worldwide community issue. So
Like my idea when I thought of smart city was like maybe Dubai or
no,
Singapore or something
you're
like
absolutely right. Those are the two cities that everyone thinks about. And in fact, it's so funny. This morning, I was a guest lecturer at a university in Paris, and they students asked me this exact same question. So I'm so happy that we're talking about this again.
yeah.
And they brought up
Like
Singapore.
a mall or a city, and you
Yeah.
guys mall and there's all these robots and stuff.
So yeah, absolutely. So that is the notion most people have when they talk about smart cities in that context. I and my father, and I think everyone on my team, I could speak for, strongly believe it's way more than that. It's a people centric thing, right? I think smart cities or resilient communities, like I like to say, are those that provide their citizens with easy access to not only technology, but it's way beyond that. It's to making communities more livable, more, having, access to parks, right? Having access to recreation, having good access to healthcare facilities, having access to cleaner air, having access to culture, arts. Those are the things that I think make us all human at the end of the day, right? So we can have the fanciest, shiniest objects. And I don't want to keep picking on Dubai, but since you brought it up, like in Dubai, you have the shiniest objects and, really fancy malls, like you pointed out. And it's all nice. I'm not saying it's not, no knock on that at all. And I enjoyed it when I was over there too. But it's not addressing the issue at hand, which is making your cities more livable for everyone, right? And a lot of these cities that have these technologies are very inequitable at the end of the day. And unfortunately, a lot of these technologies, even if they were devised with good intentions at heart, they have exacerbated the social divides within their cities in many ways. So
Yeah.
I think communities that keep an eye to using these tools, but also to make cities more equitable and give better access to everything I just stated earlier. I think that's truly what a smart city is, in my opinion, and resilient community or whatever you want to call it. But this notion that it has to be like fancy like these other cities, I don't buy that, and I don't agree with that at all. So again, that's my take. Very curious to hear my father's perspective on this as well, because he's seen this evolve over 40 years now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Sunil said. I think we are part of the society, right? We are here to make the society better. And what can we do? What are the things that we can do to improve our living, right? Cleaner air, water. So all of this is helped by AI, believe it or not, to help more efficient processes, even as minor as may seem. Garbage disposal, for example, can be more efficient and be more tolerant, because right now in many of the cities garbage are not handled the way it should be, and it affects the environment, and something that AI in an indirect way helps fine tune that process. right? So there are various areas. And that's the thing I was going to say before, which is you walk into a business or a government entity, they may not know where they need to have support. So if we take a step back and look at the processes without any bias, we can suggest areas that they can help themselves by using technologies that are available today. And that's something that we think we should be doing rather than waiting for somebody to come to us for resolutions, right?
One last thing, I know harping on this, but I think it's an important point. To my dad's point earlier, I think cities are also, it's so wrong to have one definition of what a smart city is because the context matters, right? Every city is very, very different. If we're talking about Dubai versus, I don't know, Bogota or, Mumbai or wherever in the world, context matters, right? Like garbage disposal might not be a huge deal here in the global north, quote unquote, but that is a huge issue in other cities in the world. So I think when we define what a smart city is, I think it very much differs, depending on where you are in the world. So all this to say, context matters so much, and setting appropriate goals for every city based on where they are and identifying their unique challenges is so critical. And we can't paint this with a broad brush, I guess is what I'm trying to say at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. No, I get it. I completely get it. So it's just far more intricate than that, and especially with today's advancement. We're in 2026, and most people have access to a smartphone. They have access to urgent care and all the equipment needed, for their health and doctors and stuff like that. So it doesn't matter what country or city they're in. Most people have access to internet and things of that nature. So it's far more complex than the two-word phrase "smart cities," right? So,
Exactly. And
yeah,
you can
yeah.
tell we're pretty passionate about this issue.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that we were able to talk about that because I think it's valuable and something that needs to be addressed. And I wanted to make sure there's more context to the smart cities because that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. So moving forward, what's working well for you guys right now and what's been frustrating?
I could start. I guess what's been working well is certainly our model of being both a talent acquisition company and AI consulting. I think that definitely stands out in a lot of people's minds because, as we all know, there's a ton of talent acquisition firms out there. When I started off as that as well, but then I decided, you know what? I have a lot of consultants and a lot of great minds out there, like my father and everyone else, are very good at project implementation. So why not make this more than focusing on placing people and then going to the next role? I mean, that is obviously a very good business model and it works for most people and it is very successful. But I also want to be in the business of providing consultants to solve specific problems in the age of AI. I think that has been resonating with a lot of founders, fellow co-founders that I've been talking to in my trips. So that's been working well, and the in-person networking has been working very well. I would say all our clients have been through in-person networking that me and my team have been doing around the country in a couple places across the sea as well. So I think all of that and showing up in person, we've been blessed to be able to do it, of course, but we've taken full advantage of that and showing that we are human at the end of the day. Like people like to see that. So that's been working well. I would say challenge-wise, a couple of things that I mentioned earlier, which is just identifying which tools we should be focusing on. I definitely sometimes fall victim to that paralysis by analysis, where I have a lot of very interesting tools in front of me, but like I have to decide which one to go with. Is it worth investing in XYZ tools for a couple $100 a month, or is it not? So again, I think a lot of founders deal with this, like playing with technology, seeing what works, what not works. I think you just need to, sometimes bite the bullet and try it out. And it's not that easy to do. I realize it because we're all, at least in my case, we're bootstrapping. So we're definitely, but like, I think that's been the biggest challenge on my end. But I'll let my father chime in.
For me personally, the challenge was when I moved to this working with, guess, the public sector. That was a challenge because I'm not used to that. And working with government sector staff just said earlier on that it's a lot of paperwork and you have to be patient and expect that. And that's something that I'm getting used to and slowly, I guess, getting accustomed to it, because I come from private sector where it's always rush, rush, rush. And where is it? We should have been there yesterday. Here, rush, 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 and wait, rush, 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 and wait. And that's something frustrating to get used to, but slowly I am used to it, right? The
Yeah.
good thing about this is, I guess, in my personal view, solving business problems and seeing the fruition of that, because that's important, right? Just developing systems for the sake of development is not doing any good. You want to make sure that you're able to implement it and you can see the fruits of that labor, right? That's what rewarding at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to speed, I speak to a lot of CEOs and founders, and you say rush, 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 and everyone's trying to get to market or have a go-to-market strategy that can implement right away. And in some cases, does work. When it comes to speed, and how it can help your business when you're competing against a huge market. Like Corn Ferry or other AI companies, because you guys are competing against two separate markets.
Yeah, no, we are.
Yeah, you got AI and then you got Corn Ferry and they have AI, so, there's a lot of competition involved, so
I know we're running up against the clock. Just one thing to add to what my father just said, which is also a massive challenge for us, along the lines of what my father said, is getting hiring managers to sign up to do the consultations with us, and especially in the public sector, because of the red tape that exists. We have a lot of clients that are very close to closing with us, but because they're requiring a lot of approvals on their end, we haven't been able to close with a few of them. And so that patience it's a long run game for us, where before we get to the next client, and at least in the public sector. Private sector, they operate a lot faster, but just to go along with Dad's point, I think that's been another frustrating challenge for us. That's just the name of the game.
Gotcha, okay, I understand. So there's 2 different sectors, public and private. Private is, a little bit more, not as gradual, the pace is quicker versus the public sector, right? So
Yeah,
you guys
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
understood. Okay. So what do you want people to know who would hire you for your services? Private, public, passive, active?
Sure. I would want people to know that we have a wide array of talent in our consultant base, both from a technical standpoint and from a management standpoint, like my father, for example. And we have top-notch recruiters as well, coming in from the tech industry, coming in from nonprofit and for-profit industries. So we are able to spin up a very top-notch team within days at times. Sometimes we're ready to go because we already have vetted them, worked with them, and we already know how they work. So we have a very unique model in that sense, and it's truly a global team, because me and a few others on the team have worked in global development, and based on that, we have top talent in a lot of different countries around the world as well. So we're able to place talent very quickly, and we can personally vouch for these individuals. We're not just throwing resumes out at people. We actually know these people. So I would say that would be the takeaway, and we're happy to do full-time placements or, provide specific consultations and consultative procedures for companies and cities. So that's where I would leave it at.
Awesome, awesome. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. So, curious, where do you guys want smart talent AI to be in the next 6 to 12 months from now and beyond?
I will say, and I want to hear my father's thoughts too. I would love for us to have a couple of more cities under our belt, where we're like I said, we're prospecting a few now, and I think I'm confident we're gonna have a couple more of these types of contracts that we have already had luck with here in the States, but even overseas in the next 6 to 12 months, where we're providing specific consultations and providing some AI tools so that it can help speed up barriers that might be existing within the city management structure and cutting through some barriers that they're facing to make decisions for their people and making their cities more livable. So I think that is where I want to see our organization go in the next 6 months, where we're continuing the grind and finding more cities to work in, because that ultimately is my dream, that this company becomes focused solely on the public sector. And I know my father has thoughts on that, but that is my thought, at least, on it. But so that's my goal in the next 6 to 12 months, at least secure 2 more cities.
And then quick question to that, in terms of environmental social governance, are you guys looking into these specific cities that identifies where you identify a problem and you provide obviously a solution that from an economic standpoint or that helps the communities in certain ways? And I think you kind of hinted on this before, but could you just elaborate a little bit on that in terms of your why you target specific cities and how it helps the community?
Yeah, no, I would love to answer that. Yeah, anything that's tied to social impact is driving us for sure, and it ties in with my former global development type work. So this particular city that we're working with right now, the what really inspired me to work with them was they wanted us to break down silos and help synthesize data into a dashboard that was resolving a issue that was leading to climate issues for that city, uh, the larger picture, right? And helping clean up their streets. So that to me spoke volumes, and it was, was having positive social impact, obviously.
Sounds
So
very complex.
yeah, no, it is, and I was very happy with how quickly that our team was able to help the city. So anything that has some kind of social impact attached to it is, what I strive to focus on. And
Awesome.
I'll let my father chime in quickly if he has anything to add.
Um, Not much. Clearly, you can see Sunil has a passion, and I think that's good. You need to have passion in the work. You're not doing something because that brings in dollars, and that's important, right? You want to do this because it helps the society, and it's not just for. You can take up any 9 to 5 job, right, to get that paycheck, but this is more, goes beyond that. It's a social impact.
Yeah, definitely. Well, gentlemen, Sunil and Ramesh, thank you so much for joining us on the Growth Experts podcast. If you guys want to check out their profiles on LinkedIn, you can look up their names. They are listed on LinkedIn. And if you want to go directly to their website, if you have a smart city that needs to be fixed in some way, or if you are looking for top tier talent, go to the website. That's smarttalentai.com. Once again, that's smarttalentai.com, and I'll make sure it's listed in the description below.
Or just reach out to us directly on LinkedIn too. We're fine with that too.
Oh yeah, you can reach out to them directly on LinkedIn. Awesome. Yeah, I love LinkedIn, man. It's been so useful in terms of outreach and making good contacts. So,
Yeah, no, it's so great. And in fact, I was out in the Bay Area last week and got to go to LinkedIn headquarters and really got to meet a couple folks and really enjoyed that.
awesome. Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Derek, for your time as well. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Awesome.